Married at First Sight, season 14, and we are in the home stretch, y'all. And we didn't really get an episode this week, but we did get a week of reflection to see how far we've come. What will these people have to do and change in order to get their partner to say yes to them to be married for the rest of their lives? So can some of these couples turn it around in these next 2 or 3 episodes, which is really a whole month, in order to say yes on decision day? Let's talk about it. Katina and Olajuwon. As much as Olajuwon has complained about Katina and saying that she's not on wife level and he maybe hasn't seen enough, and as much as Katina has taken a lot of bruising from Olajuwon with that nasty tongue and how she's been hurt by a lot of his words, exasperated and just worn out, I actually think these two have enough in the tank to say yes on decision day. I actually do. I think both of them are going to end up saying yes on decision day. I think they're both in love. I think they definitely have some real problems they need to work on their relationship in. And I think they're going to say yes on decision day. And I think they're going to try to work out their problems after the cameras leave. Do I think they're going to have a lot of work ahead of them? Absolutely. I think they're going to have a lot of work that they're going to need to do, especially Olajuwon. If you think about Olajuwon's complaints about Katina, you know what? Katina is soaring in a lot of areas. To me, I think she has high emotional intelligence. I think she's been kind. I think she has been sweet. I think that she has done a lot of things that make her a good mate. The only things that Olajuwon has really complained about Katina with were these so-called domestic skills. And to be honest, I think one of the reasons why, not only the way he says it, one of the reasons I think it hurt Katina so much is because I think she realizes too that that was one of her weak points. But she's no different from a lot of women coming into marriage. I mean, a lot of women don't have any cooking skills, especially these days. And even if you do know how to cook, that don't mean you know how to cook the type of food your man wants. Me and my husband had to go through this in our marriage. Sure, I knew how to cook, but I knew how to cook foods that I like to eat. I'm from California. My husband grew up on more like Southern food because his mama was from Mississippi. California people, we don't eat soul food every week, every other weekend. We didn't do that. We didn't grow up like that. We had soul food on Easter, Christmas, and Thanksgiving. So my lifestyle was completely different. So when I started making dinner for my husband, he was like, what is this? Grilled chicken. Where's the gravy? Where's this? I said, I don't cook that every day. So even if you do know how to cook, you're going to have to learn some things in terms of what your partner likes. Now, we had to make the adjustment in my marriage because I told my husband, we not eating pork chops and gravy every single week. Absolutely not. So not only did I have to learn how to cook a few things differently that my husband might like, he also had to learn to develop a different palate. He had to learn how to develop a palate for some Asian food, some fish tacos, different type of Greek food, things that I like to eat. I think Katina is confident in all the other areas. I think that's the only area she's uncomfortable in. And I think that Olajuwon has exploited, and it's almost like putting your thumb on a wound. And I think that's why it has hit so hard for her in that area. But that's going to be easy to overcome, because if that's his biggest complaint about Katina, which is cooking and cleaning, and can she take care of herself like she's a 14-year-old, I don't think that's going to be a problem. And I think they're going to be able to sort this out after the cameras leave. Olajuwon's mouth, his harshness, his abusive tone and language, it's a trigger for a lot of women. It really is. I have these marriage conversation videos that I do, and I'm going to do another one later on today. And actually, the title of my next video is going to be Marriage May Be Triggering. Because whether people want to believe it or not, marriage digs up a lot of old wounds, a lot of triggers. And let me tell you, you have to deal with them in marriage. A lot of people don't even realize some of their triggers until they get in marriage. Some people have figured them out before they got in marriage. But sometimes marriage exposes a lot of old wounds that you didn't count on, and you have to deal with them in marriage. I think Olajuwon is also having some old ideas, archaic ideas that are being brought up because of some things that he did or did not experience in his own childhood. Because as we know, he didn't even have a mother, a husband and wife growing up with that type. So I don't even know where he gets his image of what husband and wife looks like. He's probably conjured it up in his head, trying to do something opposite of what he's seen, and he's come up with this unrealistic idea of what it looks like, and he's going to need to get rid of that. Olajuwon is trying to get Katina to do something different, but he's actually the one that needs to be the one that changes. He thinks he can just stay as he is, and then Katina does all the changing. Absolutely not. Olajuwon is going to have to be the one that needs to do the most changing. Olajuwon's talk and speech is triggering for a lot of women because you know what? People have been with people like Olajuwon before, and sometimes it did end well. Sometimes it ended in higher levels of abuse, or even involving physical abuse. And so as a result, people say, well, I see it now. That means this is obviously where it's going. It's just like when people are triggered by men who have certain behavior and they think that the man is cheating. It's the same thing that Olajuwon did with Katina's phone app. Because she had a phone app, she must be cheating. Those are big leaps. I have never seen a person go off like that and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, they're already over into physical abuse. But I can understand how that could have been the road a lot of other women are on, but that don't mean that's the road for everybody. But sometimes that's what trauma does. Trauma brings up old experiences and it makes you think it's the same outcome. Just like if you got bit by a dog, you become afraid of a dog because you think every dog is going to bite you. Well, some dogs will bite you. Sometimes it protects you, but sometimes it also hinders you. I also think that Olajuwon doesn't have a lot of relationship experience. I think he had a lot of one-night stands and sexual relationships, but I don't think he's had a lot of real relationship experience, to be honest with you. And I think that Olajuwon thinks that Katina should have came in here having everything that she needed for marriage. Well, that ain't what no one comes into marriage having everything they need. Absolutely not. You grow in marriage. Marriage is on the job training for a lot of things. I don't know why people think that you can prepare yourself 100% for marriage and then when you get there, you 100% prepared. Absolutely not. You're going to have edits for him and he's going to have edits for you. That's just reality. And this idea that Katina was going to be ready-made, Olajuwon has unrealistic expectations. But I think after this, they're going to both say yes and they're going to figure it out after the cameras go off. Michael and Jasmina, I'm calling them my most disappointing couple because I think I had the highest hopes for these two. I think going in, we knew that Michael was sort of like a clam and he was going to need to open up. We knew that he was reserved because not only did he tell us he was, we also could see it in his demeanor. We also knew from his sisters that once you get to know Michael, though, he really opens up. He's a lot of fun. He laughs. He's a jokester. But he's one of those slow brewing people. I think the problem came to him is because I think Jasmina masked who she really was in her interview. And I think that she comes off as a more confident and more outgoing person than she really is. So I think when these two got paired, I think they were expecting that Jasmina was going to be the help for Michael, that Jasmina was going to be the one to help open up Michael so the fact that he could become comfortable sooner and then that more vibrant personality will come out sooner. But I think Jasmina presented wrong. I think Jasmina presented herself as outgoing and very secure and very confident because she's very outspoken. And let me tell you, we have learned that's not the truth. I think Jasmina's outspokenness is a cover-up for her insecurities and her fear. Her outspokenness was mistaken as confidence, and actually what it is a shield. It's a shield to protect her. That tongue is her weapon that she uses to protect herself. I think she did a disservice in the interview because what ends up happening is because she comes off so confident, she attracts a different type of person when the reality is that's not who she really is. They thought Jasmina was going to be a help for Michael to bring him out of his shell. And the truth of the matter is Jasmina actually needed a person to bring her out of her shell. And so what they did was they paired Jasmina with a guy who didn't have enough in the tank for not only himself, but for her too. Jasmina is very scary, and we're about to see that she's just now learning how to drive. I understand that Boston has a good public transportation system. I'm going to Boston in 2 weeks. Shoot, maybe I see him out there. I don't know. But just having a public transportation system doesn't mean you still don't learn how to drive. Jasmina never even had a boyfriend in the state of Massachusetts. When they were on the honeymoon, Jasmina didn't want to do anything adventurous. She was scared of water, didn't even want to swim. Jasmina is scary. And I think what we're going to see in these next couple of weeks, I think Jasmina is finally starting to thaw out. I think she's finally starting to not be so afraid of Michael. And as a result of her not being so afraid and biting at him, I think Michael is starting to come out of his shell too. This couple is really unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. Because I think if Jasmina had presented who she really was in the beginning, one is they might have paired her with a different person. But had she been more vulnerable and been able to express her fears, she might have gotten a different Michael. But what was presented, the way she presented herself was like she was a superior one. So Michael let her take the lead. The truth of the matter is Jasmina shouldn't have been in the lead in this relationship. Not at all. The experts put her in the lead and Michael let her take the lead and she wanted the lead. But the truth of the matter is she should have been a follower. I don't know if these two can recover. I don't know if Michael got bit too hard and too many times for Jasmina that he can't recover. And I don't know if Jasmina is going to be able to become attracted to Michael. I don't think she has a problem with Michael's physical looks. And I think what she has is an emotional disconnection from Michael. I actually could see a split decision with these two, to be honest with you. I could actually see Jasmina saying yes to give it more time. And I could actually see Michael saying no. I could see them both saying no too, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a split decision with this couple. Not at all. Because the after party has shown me a different Jasmina. It really has. And I think we're going to see a different Jasmina in this second half. I can see Michael saying no because I'm not for sure he has enough in the tank to go toe-to-toe with Jasmina, because I think that anytime she gets scared, that tongue will come out. That man may need to be a little bit more confident, and he's also going to have to not take Jasmina so seriously when she gets in those bad moods she gets in. And I'm not for sure Michael wants that job. So we'll see about this couple, y'all. Mark and Lindsay, it was a no for me at the beginning of the season, and it's still a no. You know, Mark tried out for this show back in 2017. The same season Shanice and Jeffrey won the show. And honestly, it seems like all these years Mark hasn't made any progress. Mark and Lindsay have the same problems. They point fingers at each other. And the truth of the matter is, I realize they are both the problem in their own relationships. Mark is not perfect. You know what? Mark has been evicted from an apartment and fired from a job. Let me tell you, his life is in a bit of a turmoil, just like Lindsay says. That should tell you something about some things that go on with Mark. He's not innocent in this. For you to get thrown out of an apartment and fired from a job, you got some things about you that some other people don't like too. On decision day, I think that Mark is going to say yes, primarily because I think Mark is broke and he don't have nowhere to live. And I think he's going to try to make this relationship work. I think they're going to say yes on the decision day. He can get his little extra check. And then you know what? They're going to say no after that. I think they're going to say yes, and then they're going to say no. I think Mark is going to do what he needs to do. He's going to tell Lindsay all the right things in order to get her to say yes. And she's going to be hopeful. And in the end, nothing is going to change because these two are stuck where they are. Just like Mark is still stuck from 2017 when he tried out before, so is Lindsay. Lindsay's still stuck because these two don't look at what they're doing wrong. They constantly point the finger at each other. Like I said before in previous videos, they're in competition with each other on who is the worst one in their relationship. But they don't look at what each of them need to do differently. Is Lindsay worse than Mark? Absolutely, 10 times worse. But Mark has his own issues, and I don't think these two are going to make a good couple. And I think one of them or two of them are going to say yes on decision day, and I think it's going to be a no in the end. I think they will say yes on decision day, but I don't think their marriage will last 6 months. Steve and Noi, as much as Noi doesn't like Steve's game plan in terms of not having a 9 to 5. I think she's going to go along with it. And I think they're both going to say yes on decision day. Listen, Noi is a human resource recruiter and Steve is an engineering sales person. Let me tell you, Steve makes substantially more money for Noi. So if you think in a household, when you have one person making a salary here and another person making a salary here, if you think this person is going to get to dictate to this person what their career choices or trajectory are going to be, you're all wrong. No, Steve is going to trump Noi, and she's not going to have a choice but to go along and trust her husband. She may not like it, but she's going to fall in line and she's going to be doing it. Noi is scary. All of this is triggering Noi too. The way she grew up, the lack of money, never being with an entrepreneur. Noi is scary too. Is she going to be scared? She is going to be scared, but she's going to have to follow along. Steve has already told her, I'm not asking you for no money. I'm not asking you to pay no bills for me. I think Steve is going to be just fine in the terms of how much money he makes. I don't think Noi is going to have to carry the family household. And I think Steve is going to hold his ground. And I think eventually they're going to go along. They're going to work this out afterwards. And I think that Noi will increasingly become more comfortable with it because she will be able to see that Steve is able to provide for the family. And I think that's going to be okay for them. I think Noi is going to be scared. I don't think she's going to like it, but I don't think it's going to be enough for her to say no. And I don't think it's enough for her to leave her marriage. In the end, the fact that Steve, one, probably made more money than Noi, probably has more savings than Noi, and probably has the potential to make more money than Noi, I think all of that will trump Noi in the decision making in the household. And unfortunately, that's just the way it works. I know some people think decisions are 50-50 in relationships. No, they're not. When you have a breadwinner who makes substantially more than the other person, that person's career ends up taking precedent over the other person's career. It's just a fact of life. It's a fact, and it causes problems in relationships. But you know what? A lot of couples have to figure it out, and I think that Steve and Noi are going to figure it out. But that's it, y'all. That's my predictions going forward. We'll see what the rest of the season brings. Talk to you later. Bye.